Hello everybody, Shelly here. I am so glad that you guys are here. Thank you guys for stumbling across, and if you're still here, then thank you. Because I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm not a professional makeup artist. What I am is a lady of a certain age, in case you couldn't tell. I like makeup. I'm makeup obsessed, palette obsessed. Today we're gonna use the Dirty Martini palette from Glamlite. It comes in a little, this is what sold me on these palettes. I bought 3 of the 4. My husband said, Michelle, why didn't you buy the 4th? I don't know. I got nothing. But anyway, it comes in a little case like this. It's not even their PR case. It's just, you can just buy it like this, which is pretty cool. I've got 2 of the other 2. You by now have already seen my chocolate martini look, and you've already seen, I think, a date night with the wine palette. Today we're going to use the Dirty Martini palette, which I got to be honest, this was the first one I wanted. I really, really love the chocolate martini though. But this one is a little bit out there for a lot of people. I think my eye gets drawn to like this color right here, and I go, does it clash? Does it clash? I don't know what to do with that color. And then this sort of acid yellow, like some of these colors, I'm just not, at first I'm like, I don't know what to do with them. But then I see people using it, and I get over my nervousness about using it. And I think as ladies of a certain age, you can do color. You should still be kind of getting dolled up for date night. You shouldn't give up. You can wear shimmer eyeshadows on your eyelids. Today I got something a little bit different because I'm gonna end up doing 3 looks with this palette. I'm going to have to come back after a couple hours and do my date night looks. I do have a thing tonight. We're gonna go watch some hockey. That's gonna be fun because it's hockey season where I live. I think it's hockey season everywhere. Who am I fooling? But we're gonna watch some hockey, and I thought, you know what, I want to use this palette for that. But I've got a couple more work calls that I've got to get done. I'm so caught up on stuff. It's ridiculous. You'll never hear this from me. Like it's very, very rare that I say, oh, I'm caught up during the work week, and it is Friday, so there is that. But I'm so well organized and prepared right now. I don't even know who I am. But we're gonna try to do a daytime work look. Now I've got, like I said, some Zoom call type things going on. This doesn't really scream work appropriate, but you do have 1 neutral in here. So I'm gonna try that. I've never used this palette. You know what? I don't have any eyelid primer on, but I'm gonna change that later on. Right now I'm just gonna go without the primer. I have their pie palette. It's amazing. I love that one. I love the chocolate martini one. I think that would make such a great gift for somebody who likes makeup but doesn't really, love a lot of color, but just wants really beautiful quality and really beautiful product. The wine palette, as a wine drinker, the palette itself is right here. It's just like, they could have done a little bit better. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not great. This one, the chocolate martini, I love that. Look at the difference between the quality in these labels. The chocolate martini, it just looks, I don't know, appropriate, bougie, fun. The wine one is like, I don't really love it. I do not mind purple eyeshadows. I do love purple. I don't wear a ton of purple, mainly because when I wear purple eyeshadow, it's usually date night. Sometimes fun daytime. Different ones. I have a hard time committing to palettes. Do you guys ever do that? I'm just still using that same dark brown. What is it called? It's called Extra Dirty. They really give us like 1 neutral. Some people would argue that grains are neutral because it's found in nature. I don't know if I feel that way. Grains to me feel colors, not neutrals. I love green eyeshadow. I just don't know why it's taken me so long to sit down. I think I wanted to film first impression of it more so than I just wanted to play with it and get it all dirtied up and then come back to you and say, okay, here's all the great things I found to do with it. And I think these palettes, these holiday cocktail happy hour palettes, I guess is probably what I'm trying to say, I think they're still available. They didn't sell out quite as fast as like the Michaela palette did. Speaking of which, I've got a couple trips to Boston, client visits. You guys don't care. Here's what I like about the shadow. It's deep dark brown. It's dark, and it sheared out on me enough that I can actually wear it as a daytime work appropriate eyeshadow, which is phenomenal. There's 1 shade in here. I gotta get this out of my finger now. There's 1 shade that I would use for work, as far as like an all over the lid shade. Flat shader brush. I'm going in with Chilled, which I wouldn't have even known it was there. It almost looks a little duochromy. There's a shade that's in the Ashley Strong palette with Morphe that I got. It kind of looks like this. It looks silvery taupe in the pan until you get past that first layer, and then it's this almost like a burgundy color, but because it's a duochrome, it's really hard to tell what for sure the colors are. Multifaceted, kind of like us, Wormald, right? That's a pretty shade though. Going back into that first matte shade, just the brush that I used, I didn't pick up any more product, but I just kind of wanted to buff it out. It's a pretty shade. I think that this one looks like it would be in the Chocolate Martini palette. It kind of goes along, this whole look is very Chocolate Martini and not necessarily Dirty Martini. I get so much more red or bronze when I apply this with a brush. I'm gonna try a little bit with my finger and see what that looks like. Again, it probably would have been better if I would have primed my eyelid. See what this looks like when it sticks. I think that's actually really pretty and a very kind of work appropriate. Normally for work, I would have gone back into that dark brown, but I'm gonna take this kind of teal blue because I think it's such a pretty color. Called Mix It Up, and I'm gonna put a little of this right out here on the edge because I think navies and teals look so pretty. That blue is really pretty, and sometimes with work looks I'll maybe do just a nod of a color, particularly a green or a blue like this. You know what I've been doing lately? I've been keeping my under eyes much lighter. I need to find a little tiny brush here. Here's a little pencil brush. I'm actually gonna go into this matte, it's almost like a seafoam green. It throws me off because it's right next to that shimmer that just seems out of place. This one's called Classic. And I'm gonna put a little of this Classic right down here. I'm probably already going too overboard for work. Because I'm a lady of a certain age, I'm getting older, and why are my eyes so bloodshot today? I've been fighting the under eye wrinkles, as one is due once you're a lady of a certain age. But I think if it's especially daytime, oftentimes for nighttime too, I've been keeping my under eyes a little brighter and lighter because I want a lift. I don't want to make them smaller. And when I do a darker eyeliner, and I've told you guys this before, this is not your first rodeo with me in a video, I say it a lot. I think when you do a darker eyeliner, it can make your eyes, especially if you've got small hooded eyes to begin with, make them look smaller. I'm gonna throw some mascara on, I'll be right back. This is look number 1 with the Glamlite Dirty Martini palette. It's a green palette. I don't have green eyeshadow on. That's crazy. You don't notice it. Sorry, things turned around here. You don't notice it, but you do have some normal, everyday, natural colors in here. I like the fact that the dark brown actually did sheer out enough. I'd probably like maybe do a little bit more, but I don't want to be too heavy for work. But to just have it under there, because I like a matte up here on that hood anyway to kind of, you know, recess it a little bit. But I think that shade actually works really well. Now, oftentimes for work, regular, especially if I'm going to be in a meeting, I wouldn't necessarily do an all over the lid shimmer. But I think because my eyes are kind of hooded anyway, you don't really notice it. You'd only kind of get a peek of it when I blink. If I'm wearing glasses, you might not even notice it at all. I like this look for work. I'm leaving it on. I'm gonna be back in a couple hours and we'll take it off and do some fun date night looks, or at least some fun looks. Play with some of these greens. I'm excited about these greens. There's some of these shades in here. They're so fun, super beautiful, super fun. I'm excited. I'll see you. I'll be back in like, 3 seconds, less than that. So hang tight. I'll be right back. I know it doesn't seem like a long time, but I've had a day full. I've had meetings and meetings and meetings and reports and I'm done. I haven't started drinking wine yet. That's gonna be the next up on my list, but I wanted to get this done for you guys first because we are still playing with his Dirty Martini palette. I wanted to do 2 fun looks. I wanna do something more on the green side, obviously, and I really wanna do something with these blues down here. Well, I don't know if I'd call that a blue. It's like seafoam and then like shiny seafoam and then teal. They're not green. I don't even know why they're Dirty Martini, but this is such a fun palette. Oh, a few minutes ago for you, hours ago for me, I did a relatively appropriate work look and loved it. And my hair is doing crazy things right now. We're gonna deal with it later on. I wanted to do makeup first and then I'll deal with hair. Intimidated, but I've heard such good things about the wearability, the usability. Again, like I said earlier, this was the palette I was so excited for, and then I just had it on my filming table and haven't used it. I'm gonna scoot you in. That would be better. Okay, that's a little bit better, right? I mean, you're not too close, social distancing, but YouTube style. Okay, I just need to move on. I need a glass of wine is what I need. Okay, I'm gonna go into this. It really does look like an olive green to me. This is called Dirty Martini. And I'm gonna actually use that kind of in my crease and then just up a little bit as I buff out, because I want that to kind of be my transition color here. I've heard a couple people, Samantha March comes to mind. This I think is the only one she got, and she loved it. It turned into one of her kind of top favorite. Might have even been her #1 favorite in October. I do have some eyelid primer on, which I did not have earlier. I'm actually using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus eyeshadow primer, this one. I wouldn't say that's my favorite one. It's a translucent one. I figured some would be better than none. There's a green palette that came out pretty recently. Boy, that really does sheer, doesn't it? It looks intimidating in the pan, but it certainly does sheer out. There's a new palette from Milan Row or something. I don't know. It's a green palette and it reminds me of this. And I had to convince myself I didn't need it. That was Dirty Martini. I feel like it got a little patchy, but I think it might just be that eyelid primer. Again, I didn't give it a ton of time to dry down. And it's an not opaque. It's a translucent primer, so again, not my favorite. There's a couple really gorgeous shimmers in here. I think I'm gonna go in with Garnish, which is this shade out here, but I'm gonna take it in a little smaller brush. I'm gonna take Garnet out here. Garnish. Not a professional YouTuber. Don't get anything in PR. Can't speak English half the time. I just kind of wanted to give my eyes some shape out here because I'm going to use a number of these shimmers, I think. I might have to use a different eyelid primer on my next look. And again, because this is my fun look, I'm going a little more colorful. Again, this is Garnish here on the outside. It's actually a really pretty color. I thought it was more along the lines of that dirty green, but it actually kind of reminds me of the green that was in the Mel Thompson Tiny Marvels palette. Not an exact match, but it kind of reminds me a little bit. Love that palette, by the way. Depending on when this goes up, Sydney Grace did a re-release of Mel Thompson's palette, and they were going to give proceeds from it or a percentage of it back to her family plus Mel's cut. And so I don't know if it's going to still be available when this video goes up, but man, what a great cause if you didn't have the palette already. It's a fun palette. I've used it a number of times for travel, like when I go on vacation and stuff, not necessarily. I mean, I could use it for work. It's got, you know, some neutrals in there. I don't know why I felt like I kind of blended away that Dirty Martini shade, first one. Just kind of build it up a little bit here. I saw another one come out that's like a Poison Ivy palette. So you have to let me know if you guys are into green eyeshadows. Do you like graphic eyeshadows? Or are you going towards kind of what the trend I'm seeing right now is kind of a return to neutral eyeshadows. Okay, there's two shades in here. One of them is Olive Lover, one of them is Vodkatini. This is Olive Lover down here, and this is Vodkatini. They're very close. I think that Vodkatini is just slightly more yellow. Olive Lover is a little bit more on the olive green. So I'm gonna take the Olive Lover over the top, just kind of bump it up next to that shade called Garnish. Not Garnet, because that would be like a reddish brown color. Do as I point, not as I do. I'm distraught that I can actually even read them right now. I switched a few months ago. I switched back to Gas Permeable Contact. I like them so much better. They fit so much better. I don't stress about them so much. Sometimes I even sleep in them and I don't stress about that. It's just, I'm trying really hard to reduce stress right now. It's kind of like my new mantra is to not take on any more stress as I get ready to start, you know, like a really busy travel season. Okay, and then I'm using the Vodkatini on the inside, and I am applying with my fingers, which means I have fat fingers and sometimes I get a little transfer. It's not the shadow falling. It is literally my fingers not staying where I place them. This is so pretty. I love this color. I'm tickled with this color right now. I know I've got like 4, but you know what I mean. Like the shades, love them. I think I'm gonna use dry vermouth. This one down here. I'm gonna take the dry vermouth and just keep deepening up this. Feeling all kinds of exotic with this eyeshadow. Now, if you guys noticed, I kept the rest of my makeup relatively simple. Not necessarily just like full on neutral, but relatively muted because I really wanted the focus to be on these gorgeous colors on my eyelids. Liquid or gel? We're doing liquid. I think I used liquid recently on a video and it didn't really go very well. I do have some fallout. I can see now as I look a little bit closer. But I'm gonna take this. I normally don't do wing liners, like it's not really my forte, especially with my hooded eyes. But since we're going with this bold eyeshadow look, I figured I might as well just do a little bit more of a graphic eyeliner. So this is not my favorite liquid eyeliner in the world. This one's an Ofra one. Yeah, Ofra Verified. It's not my favorite. I have other ones that I like better. Actually, the one that I really like that seems to not ever fail me is the one from House Lab. I don't know why that one works so well for me, but it does. Okay, we have eyeliner on one eye. Let's see if we can match it up here. All right, that's about as close as I'm gonna get, I think, on these. I might even go a little bit more out here. Grip the whole thing. Eyeshadow's feeling a little Cleopatra. I have a thing to go to. We're going to a hockey game. I think I mentioned it earlier when I was babbling. I'm not sure what eyeshadow look I was gonna do for the game, but now I'm looking at my eyes going, I kind of like this. I think it would be actually kind of fun, but I wanted to do another eye look, so what to do, although I'm not even quite sure what I'm wearing yet, so I should probably figure that one out before I decide what. I guess I can always put this back on, right? I get nothing in PR. If you guys are at all curious, I'm not paid to give anybody my positive opinion. If I like something, I'm going to tell you I like it. If it's just meh, you're going to know. If it's something that I wouldn't recommend, which doesn't happen too often, do I get something that I absolutely abhor, but I will tell you if something is heinous. All right, kind of cleaning up some of the fallout from underneath my eyeshadow. I would recommend, if you're going to use those glitters and you do have fatter fingers like I do, to maybe do your eyeshadow first. I'm going to grab High Class, which is this kind of, it almost looks like a acid green. It's super pretty. I'm going to take that on a little brush right here. We're just keep going with all these shimmers. I know I said earlier, if you're a lady of a certain age, you can wear shimmer. You just have to make sure you have the right quality of shimmer. Some of them really do accentuate stuff that you don't necessarily need. I'm going to go in with Dirty Martini, which is the very first shade we used, on that same kind of brush I used for that inner corner highlight. And I'm just going to continue going along this. I want to tie it in together. I like, and I've been liking eyeshadow nowadays, lighter down below. I just think it's really kind of refreshing and pretty. This is going to be one of those, this is going to be one of those eye looks that when my husband finally does see this in editing, he's going to say, why didn't you do this? I think that's really pretty. I do think it's got kind of like this Poison Ivy side of vibe to it. I used this shade here, this one, and that one. I don't think I used this. I don't think I used Green Olive, which is strange that I wouldn't have done that. I want to do a little bit different look. I'm kind of tempted to do something a little bit more edgy, but I'm just not sure. So if you're down with green eyeshadow, this Glamlite palette, it's working for me. Let's try a third look. Okay, we're back. I have most of the dregs of the old eyeshadow and stuff cleaned off my face, and I actually went in with a little bit of the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. Yeah, and this is in shade medium. So I'd use that on my eyelids just to kind of prime them a little bit, kind of mute them out a little bit. I don't normally do concealer on my eyelids. I think that Wet n Wild, I think it was maybe almost too emollient maybe. I really have to get into this blue and these greens right here and maybe that. It's fun. So I'm gonna go with Classic. Only 2 of these have like embossing. Hey Shell, you don't normally wear blue eyeshadow all over your eyelids? No, I don't. This isn't even really a blue. It's like a seafoam green, blue green. So I went over all of my lid and I didn't go super heavy. Like I probably could have built it up quite a bit more. I think you can build them up to get kind of the saturation you wanted, but I'm gonna be mainly covering over the whole thing. And I just kind of wanted that as my sort of base layer. I'm gonna go dark. And I've got like a little small Sigma brush. This is gonna end up being really dark, rich color. Barely see that. As I've seen from my previous looks with this eyeshadow, I think that you can blend away the eyeshadow. So I'm gonna wait until the end and see, because I don't wanna lift it too much up. Okay, but I'm gonna go in with this really vibrant. No, I don't normally drink martinis. I mean, I really only used 3 shades so far, and I think it's pretty, but I gotta be honest, this type of configuration, we have to trust the process. I'm going in with On the Rocks here. I could have left some space. It's not super saturated. Now I'm gonna go in with Extra Dirty. Really like how that's not just like full-on blue. Okay, and now that I have those colors layered on, I almost wish they had a really good like sand colored. Okay, I need to do a little bit of cleanup. Let me do some cleanup. We'll finish up. Be right back. Okay, you guys, I am back with this mermaidy, butterfly, bold craziness. This is not for everybody. This is definitely your special occasion, holiday party, maybe New Year's. There's parts of it that I really like. I thought I was going to like this a little bit more than I did, truth be told. I actually really like the green, and maybe it's just because the green was brighter and lighter. I don't hate this. But this is going to be a hard one for me to pull off on a regular basis. My favorite out of this whole palette is this crisp color right here. Let me just grab this really fast so you can see this. It's almost like a duochrome-y. It's not really green. It's not really gray. It's a really beautiful color. That is my favorite shade in this whole palette. I would reach for that time and time and time again. I think I used almost every shade in the palette except for this green right here, which is, you know, one of the first ones that kind of draws your eyes. I might have to come back and play with this a little bit more. Tell me, do you guys want me to come back and do a couple more licks? Are you interested in this palette? Were you interested in this palette? Are you more so now or less so now? I think I like the green one the best. But leave me a comment down below. Tell me if you just disagree with me or not. I don't know. The first look too. I had zero issue with that one. All right, you guys, I'm gonna get out of your hair. I'm gonna go try to put myself together and do something with this hair. Come back at a later time, I guess. I hope you guys are doing really, really well. And I hope you consider subscribing if you're not already. Thank you if you have. You guys mean the world to me. And I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.